Hi BookTube, it's Kim at K Becker's Books. This is somewhat of a non-bookish week because I didn't finish anything. I did a lot of reading and I had a lot of bookish things going on. So I'll tell you about those. Shall I? I'm reading 3 books. Actually, I'm mostly reading 4 books right now, so I've got stuff currently going on. I am reading Possession by A.S. Byatt. I think I just went over the halfway point. No, I'm very close to the halfway point in this book. This is not a quick read. It's not an easy read. This is for the Barter Horde's Backlist Book Club, and I really am enjoying this, but I'm hoping to spend a lot of time this weekend getting a lot further in that book. One of my most satisfying reads of this month for Victober is Daniel Deronda by George Eliot, and Alba and I are buddy reading this for Victober. We're going to be taking this into November. I love this book. I love George Eliot. I'm also listening to the audio by Juliet Stevenson along with the book, which I love, and I will not stop gushing about that narrator. She's spectacular. This is, I don't know if I really have to tell you all what these books are about because they're going to appear in my videos, so no, I'm not going to tell you what that's about. And another Victober book that I am still reading, is Jane Eyre by Charlotte Bronte. Again, this is for my A Couple of Books book project. I'm not, you know what this is about, but I'm reading this for the month of Victober, which is officially October. But so I wanted to kind of talk about this. It's weird to not have finished a book this week. And there was a time a while back where I was giving myself a Goodreads reading goal every year. So most of us who use Goodreads are aware of what that is. So you set yourself a goal at the beginning of the year as to how many books you want to read that year. And so I enter all of my books into Goodreads. I don't love Goodreads, but it's for me, it's mostly a database to keep track of what I've read. I kind of use it as a shopping cart a little bit because I'll put books in there that I'm interested in, and quite often I'll go through those and I'll weed those out, but it's good to keep track, but the application itself really is horrible. So I think at the beginning of this year, towards the middle of last year, I started to give up on giving myself a Goodreads goal because to me, it was too much pressure. It was too much of a, let's go, read, get something finished so I can add it to Goodreads. And that doesn't make reading any fun. That just put all kinds of stress on me. And I am very much a mood reader. I very rarely create a TBR for myself. I kind of know what genre I'd like to read next. If I'm reading a classic or a modern classic, the next book I read might be a contemporary novel, might be nonfiction. If I'm reading nonfiction, or maybe 2 in a row, I'll go back to a novel, maybe pick up a romance. If I read a serious book with heavy themes, I might pick up a romance or something a little bit lighter. So I know what I want to read based on my moods and based on the tones of the books that I've finished. But I no longer am consumed with how many books I'm reading and how many books I'm able to check off on my Goodreads list, whether I've finished or not. I know what I'm capable of reading every year, and I compete with myself for I want to beat last year's goal, which is for me pretty ambitious. But I also remind myself that I love reading and I want to keep holding on to that love and joy that I get out of reading books without that striving for an imaginary goal that really means nothing. Who cares how many books you read in a year? I have friends who read 30 books a year. I have friends who read 200 books a year. Who the frick cares? It doesn't matter. Do you and enjoy it. Enjoy your reading. Learn from your reading. Don't put the pressure on yourself to finish anything. I still feel accomplished this week because I did an enormous amount of reading as far as page count. And I had so much fun this week. That's the best part of this bookish week. or as I called it, non-bookish week. Literally, though, it's not been non-bookish because I did so much reading. I am also going to start embarking on the next quarter of these truths, which is 1800 to 1865. And I have a stack of novels and nonfiction that will supplement that time period. And I'm so excited. I have so many good books just looking at me from, I have a little pile over here on my left. So many good books to read. Now, what else did I do this past week? I had a great bookish week because I had 3 bookish Zoom calls. The first one was the These Truths read-along group, the Voxer group. There were 6 of us on the Zoom call. We had a blast. We talked about the section we just finished. We talked about the next section. We talked about all the books that we have found that we can apply to our reading for the next quarter. We had a blast just talking with each other and getting to know each other. We have a member in Hong Kong. We have another one in Puerto Rico. We have many in the US, all around the country. I loved it. And we got to talk about books and reading and each other and just got to know each other a little better. And it was so much fun. And then on Thursday night, I had our Zoom meeting with the Critical Chicks Book Club. We discussed Queen of the South by Arturo Perez Reverte, which you've seen it before, and it's right here. We finished this book, which I really enjoyed. I gave that 4 stars on Goodreads. So we met Thursday night and discussed that over Zoom. We also picked our next book, and once I receive it, I've already ordered it, I will show it to you. I'm not going to say what it is right now, quite honestly, because I forget the whole title. Okay, it's the new release by V.E. Schwab, and it has Addie LaRue. What's the title? You guys know what the title of that book is. I'll write it on the bottom of my screen. The Past Lives or something. You know what I'm talking about. But I'll write the title, or I'll put the picture in the corner here. So that's what we picked for our next read for November. And I'm so excited because I get to bring our next selections for November, and I'm already like giddy with anticipation because I love picking out what books to bring. And sometimes we think of a theme, or we have a couple of different themes that we have to pick from. Sometimes we bring one book to make everybody read it because we're so excited about it. It's a free-for-all. It's a free-for-all. And then the third bookish meeting I had was last night. I got to have a Zoom call with Sean the Book Maniac, and that is a TBA. I'm not going to tell you why we met. Coming soon. Features coming soon. But I love Sean, and we had a great time chatting over Zoom, and you'll see the results of that sometime coming up soon. So that's all the bookish stuff I did. I did receive a few books. What did I get? I'll show you a couple. I bought Willa Cather's The Professor's House, and I've heard mixed reviews on this, but Sean and I were actually talking about Willa Cather. I really love her writing. I've got several of her books. I've read a couple, but I picked this one up because it was available at a great price, and I got it. Professor Godfrey St. Pierre is a man in his 50s who has devoted his life to his work, his wife, his garden, and his daughters, and achieved success with all of them. But when St. Peter is called on to move to a new, more comfortable house, something in him rebels. And although at first rebellion consists of nothing more than mild resistance to his family's wishes, it imperceptibly comes to encompass the entire order of his life. I have heard, I think maybe Sean did not like this book, but he and I discussed it, and he's not a fan of Willa Cather. I think I may have just said that and just repeated myself. But I am, and so I was able to get my hands on that book. And I also ordered a piece of cake by Cupcake Brown. This is something I may want to read very soon, and I may pick it up for Nonfiction November. That's her real name, Cupcake Brown. Let's see. There are shelves of memoirs about overcoming the death of a parent, childhood abuse, rape, drug addiction, miscarriage, alcoholism, hustling, gangbanging, near-death injuries, drug dealing, prostitution, and homelessness. Cupcake Brown survived all these things before she even turned 20, and that's when things got interesting. She practices law at one of the nation's largest law firms and lives in San Francisco. Fascinated with her story. It's a memoir, and I would love to get to this in November. So those are a couple of books I got by book mail, and there have been others. And it is Saturday, the 17th, October 17th, and in my area of the country, it is autumn, and the leaves have been changing. Typically, the first week and a half of October is prime leaf peeping season, and I put a picture in the beginning of my video, just a snippet of my neighbor across the street, his tree in his front yard, which is gorgeous. And the neighbor not across from him, the neighbor next door to him also has a small maple tree, and his is red, and my neighbor across the street, his is orange. And I just thought I'd show you the color of that tree. And it's this Saturday, it was raining this morning, which we needed rain desperately. And now the sun is out, and I can see out my window, I can see the trees. They're starting to get more in the brown color than those vibrant reds and oranges. But it's still gorgeous outside. And the family and I are probably going to go book shopping this afternoon and maybe grab a coffee and a little snack. So my bookish week is going to continue. What have I been doing aside from bookish stuff? I've been binge watching. I've been spending most of my free time, aside from reading, on Hulu. And this is what I've been binge watching for the last couple of weeks, and will continue to do so. Courtney Ferreter, if you're watching, this is for you. You won't be in a friend. Travel